If you have 150 reviews, you look great. But if your competitor has 450, you don't look good. Whereas if you're in a town of 10 dentists and you have 75, and that's the most, you look the best.
I think most people understand in the day and age that we live, like it's better to have 50 reviews than 5 reviews, right? How do you feel about, and I've seen this a lot, is people will have, you might have 100 reviews, right? And you're like, oh, you have 100 reviews. That's great. But everybody else in your market has 500 reviews, right? And so, and then in another market, you might have 50 reviews, but everybody else has 4. So the 50 is actually crushing everybody, but the 100's actually losing. What's your thoughts on that?
I get that question a lot. I get, how many reviews do we actually need? That's a very common question I get. And I always say it's very dependent on the market you're with. And that's exactly the point you just made.
Mm-hmm.
If you have 150 reviews, you look great. But if your competitor has 450, you don't look good. Whereas if you're in a town of 10 dentists and you have 75, and that's the most, you look the best. So it's 100% dependent on geographic and where you're located, how many dentists there are, the competition. That's the key. And I always look at, one of the things I do is I look up a search for dentist in their town, which is the most common search I can do for a dentist. And where do they rank on the map? Are they number 1? Are they number 2? Are they number 10? Are they number 20? Where do you rank? And why are offices ranking above you? Because that's who people are going to be searching for or looking at when they're searching for and finding you. So 100%. So it's very much a geographic dependent choices or answer to see how well you're doing. It's really depending on how your competition does.
Got it. Yep, that's exactly. I feel the same. So, question on your book. I know you have a book that you just launched. Tell me a little bit about that.
So I have first book I wrote in 2019 called Raving Patients, which is a lot of the foundational stuff, why you need reviews, the advantage of them, why you need consistent listings. I've spoken to many dentists over the years. I've spoken to many patients over the years. And I started to write down tips as to ways to get reviews. So the book is called, and it's right here, it's called 100 plus tips for getting 100 5-star reviews in 100 days. So there are actually 125 tips. About 100 of them are ones I have come up with. 25, I went to certain, I guess, experts in the space, some dentists, some marketing people, and asked them for their best tip. So they're called power tips. Those are called power tips. So they're in the book as well. But I broke down kind of foundationally what you have to do. Some neat ways to generate reviews, using QR codes, how to promote the reviews on your TV in the office. So there's all these different ways that I talk about being able to generate more reviews to help increase everything else that you're doing online. So it's a tip book. So it's a very easy read.
Awesome.
You can probably read it in less than a day, but it's gotten really great feedback from the people who've read it. And so
it's like to stimulate you, right? So it's like you're not going to execute on all 100 ideas. Obviously, you're going to go through and be like, "Ooh, I really like this one and this one and this one," and then now you have
100%. Exactly right. You're not going to implement all 100. You're not going to implement all 100, but you could take 10 of them. Like literally, I just gave a seminar in Chicago on April 29th, and I sent a couple of the books to the people before I started. One of the guys had already read a couple of the tips and already implemented a couple of them in his office before the meeting even started.